Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be introducing you to a new company on the channel. The name is AEON Biopharma, AEON Biopharma. They've got a really interesting platform. We've got a lot to go through in today's presentation, but before we do, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And let me know in the comment section below if you're holding shares of AEON Biopharma, what your target is in terms of next year's price, and your outlook for this sector moving into 2024. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at AEON Biopharma Incorporated, trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol AEON. Now this is midday on Tuesday, December 12th. You can see they're down about 1% or 7 cents US, currently trading at $6.43, about $250 million market cap on AEON Biopharma. And the nice thing here is if we look at a 1-year chart, you guys, they're holding up relatively well, trading in the $6.50 range all the way back in July of this year. They had a low towards the start of November around $4.20, and since then they've been on a considerable rally, up about 50% from the support we saw at the start of November. Now, as we mentioned in the intro, this is a super exciting organization. If we jump over to the corporate website, I'll leave this linked in the video description below, and the About Us section, you can see AEON Biopharma is really focused on utilizing and harnessing botulinum toxins. At AEON Biopharma, we focus exclusively on expanding the therapeutic use of botulinum toxins in patients with debilitating neuromuscular disorders. Our formulation and bold treatment paradigms have the potential to provide lasting relief to millions of people and offer highly valuable opportunities to our stakeholders. Now, if botulinum toxins or botulinum sounds familiar to you, there's definitely a good reason for that, as this is where Botox and Botox injections get their names. And what's interesting here is if we go over to Google, you can see that botulinum toxins are one of the most lethal substances known to man. And if we click on their uses, you can see that botulinum toxin is a medication used to manage and treat therapeutic and cosmetic purposes. That's where the facial Botox injections come from. And that the medical uses include chronic migraine, spastic disorders, cervical dystonia, and detrusor hyperactivity. And we're going to talk about some of these use cases as we move into the investor presentation. Now with that being said, if we jump over to the corporate website, before we get into the investor presentation, I wanted to quickly pull up the IR page. You can see again, AEON Biopharma is the only company dedicated exclusively to the use of botulinum toxins for therapeutic only indications. With their candidate ABP 450, we are advancing a well-established product into fast-growing markets for both expanded and novel indications, utilizing a differentiated business model, which we're going to talk about, intended to deliver enhanced pharmacoeconomics to payers and providers. So in terms of video format, we're going to talk through some of these investment highlights. I'll talk about the details as we move through the presentation, but a number of key catalysts, including a strong market potential, ripe for competition as this is one of the early movers in the space. We're going to talk about the use cases for episodic migraines and PTSD, along with some business model advantages of AEON Biopharma and their strong leadership team and the sponsors or partnerships they already have in place. Now, speaking of leadership team, the company is led by the CEO, Mark Forth. He's got over 25 years experience in the biopharma space, including Allergen and TAP. And what's interesting here under the second bullet point is he was the former US business lead for Botox Therapeutics and has 16 years experience at Allergen dedicated to the entire Botox franchise. So a very strong understanding of this product, its use cases, and the platform here in North America. Now, Mark has surrounded himself by an all-star cast of individuals who have long-standing relationships and experience in the industry, so I would encourage you guys to go in and take a closer look, and a wide range of prior work experience, all in the medical, biotech, or biopharma space. Now, this is where it really gets interesting for the team at AEON Biopharma. You can see when you compare their platform to Botox itself, exact same molecule size, there's no approved indications for AEON at this point in time. However, they're actively focusing on, again, the migraine, cervical dystonia, gastroparesis, and post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, which we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, in terms of approval, obviously that's still pending, but right now Botox holds 95% of the US market share. And that's exactly why in this investment highlight slide, you saw strong potential for their ABP 450 candidate and a market that's ripe for competition, as Botox is now stealing the vast majority of market share. Now, there are some alternatives like Dysport, Xeomin, and Revance, but again, very small portion of overall market share and limited approved indications. So speaking of the various indications as it relates to ABP 450 specifically, this is the drug development pipeline or product pipeline, and a variety of different use cases for ABP 450 targeting multiple different indications and all at various different phases in terms of their development journey. So it's worth noting that on the episodic migraine and chronic migraine front, phase 2 trials are currently ongoing. The cervical dystonia indication has now completed their phase 2 trial. Gastroparesis has their phase 2 trial ready, and the post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD is currently in their preclinical phase. Now on the right here, you can see some of the recent and upcoming milestones or catalysts for each one of these indications. And there's some big dates coming up in 2024, which you should definitely take note of if you're looking to make an investment in this organization. So now that we understand what botulinum toxins are, how they're used, some of the potential indications of AEON Pharma's ABP 450 platform, I wanted to talk about the market on a macro scale because we're definitely expecting some major growth from now through to 2027. So they're expecting just shy of 10% annual growth rate or compound annual growth rate, moving from an estimated market size of about $3.2 billion in 2023 all the way up to $4.4 billion in 2027. And that's a global estimate for the therapeutic toxin market. So some of the key reasons for this growth are the current indications are expanding, which is exactly what we're talking about in today's presentation. There's new indications that are currently in development, and we're seeing favorable dynamics to facilitate coverage at current and projected pricing levels. So really on the back end in terms of the way that patients pay for these services. So we're not going to go through each one of the indications in today's presentation, but I definitely wanted to spend some time on migraines, whether we're talking about episodic or chronic migraine, because this is one that unfortunately has plagued my family as well. Now, as you can see here, the migraine market itself represents about 40 million people in the United States alone, about 1 billion people worldwide every year. And this actually makes it the third most prevalent illness in the world. I've seen these firsthand, you guys. These chronic migraines can be debilitating, and they classify people with 15 or more headaches in a day or a month to be considered chronic. Now, episodic migraines are slightly less, anywhere from 6 to 14 headaches per month. But seeing this firsthand, you guys, even one of these massive migraines is enough to absolutely ruin your day or week, and there's very limited treatment options. So currently Botox is being used in chronic migraines, and despite a slowdown in the COVID period, we're seeing double-digit growth for this treatment alternative. However, the ABP 450 opportunity here lends itself very well to both chronic migraines, which Botox is being used for, and episodic migraines. It requires fewer injections using their novel injection paradigm, increased safety and tolerability, and there's a high level of overlap or a lot of people in the commercial setting or audience that have migraines and cervical dystonia. So this is just one example of where ABP 450 would be or is viewed to be potentially more beneficial than the existing treatment alternative. And they then go on to talk about some of the growth rates, some of the comparatives here in terms of population and the various different forms of migraine, and some of the benefits of the AEON Biopharma platform, including this smart injection paradigm that differentiates them from the existing Botox option. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about was gastroparesis. This one, again, unfortunately affects hundreds of thousands of individuals across the world. You can see it represents an approximate $900 million market opportunity. And again, similar to what we saw with migraines, a high unmet need and low competitive intensity for this condition. So I would definitely encourage you guys to go in, take a closer look through this investor presentation and look at the various indications and the comparative data between the existing treatment and the potential for these ABP 450 injections. So with that being said, you guys, there's a ton to investigate and unpack with this organization. To summarize some of the investment highlights, strong potential. We've already seen the benefits of botulinum toxin and how this can impact the human body. The ABP 450 looks to accelerate that and simplify the commercialization. The market is ripe for competition with Botox right now, commanding about 95% of market share. We talked about the expanding migraine market, the PTSD opportunity, which is currently in their preclinical phase, as well as some of the pricing model changes and physician adoption that really make the AEON Biopharma business model quite advantageous. On top of that, you've got the strong leadership team, which we looked at there, who together since 2019 have invested over $160 million in AEON. So for those reasons, you guys, I definitely think this one is worth a closer look. As mentioned, I've had a firsthand experience with some of these chronic migraines. I know this is a debilitating condition, and if they're able to take advantage of this ABP 450 platform to not only address migraines, but also a number of these other indications, it could really be a huge groundbreaker for a lot of patients and obviously this organization from an investment standpoint. Let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of AEON Biopharma and what you think of their development pipeline. If you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next video.